දන්නවද ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ අල් කුරානේ තියෙන නීතිය? මුස්ලිම් නොවන කෑමක් දෙනවා නම්, බීමක් දෙනවා නම් තුන් පාරක් කෙල ගහලා තමයි දෙන්නේ. තුන් පාරක් කෙල ගහලා තමයි දෙන්නේ. ශරියා නීතිය ඕකයි.
On this week's In Focus, we're in Sri Lanka to expose the rise of a group of racist, fascist monks.
අපි දන්නා කුරානය අනිත් සියලුම දේවල් වල තියෙන්නේ ගහ ගැනීම, මරා ගැනීම, ලේහලා ගැනීම. ඒ බුද්ධ ආගමේ කොහෙවත් නැහැ හිංසනයක්. ඒතර ඒගොල්ලෝ ඇවිල්ලා වෙඩි තියනකම් අපිට භාවනා කරන්නද කිය?
මේ රටේ හැම තැනකින්ම අපි ඉඩකඩම් මුස්ලිම් ජනතාවට දුන්නා. කුළු ගෙඩියෙන් එක 70%ක් තියෙනවා හාමුදුරනේ 10% මොන කච්චක්ද අපිට. ඒ නිසා මුළු ජාතියම ඉවරයි. මේක ඔයාලට කියනවා මාත් එක්ක සහභාගී වෙලා මේ ගාන හදන්න. ලංකාවේ සියලුම ජනතාව දෙකෝටි ඉක්මවලා ඉන්නවා. හැබැයි ලංකාවේ සිංහල ජනගහනය මතක තියාගන්න ඉන්නේ 1,30,00,000යි. ඒ නිසා අපිට අනාගතේ කතා කරන්න බැරි මට්ටමට මේ අවසාන අවස්ථාවටයි පත් වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. ඒ නිසා දරුවෝ හදන්න අද ඉඳලා
Meet Buddha Balasena, founded by a handful of Buddhist monks in Sri Lanka in 2012. They have been touring the country, encouraging the majority Sinhalese Buddhist people to rise up against what they say is a threat to their culture by Muslims and Christians. They claim they are peaceful, but a spate of violent attacks against Muslims have erupted in their wake. In this program, we meet the monks who have created headlines around the world and investigate who is helping them, the government or foreign forces. But first, a local journalist wanted to see us. He said he had evidence of the desecration of Muslim shrines.
And what's happening here? Who are these people?
These monks are coming and some crowd from outside of Anuradhapura.
Yeah.
And they came and they destroyed the front of police.
Surely the police must have stopped them.
They were there. You can see the visuals.
The Anuradhapura shrine has been a Muslim holy place for hundreds of years and was an official UNESCO site. It has now been destroyed.
And what's happening here? What are they burning?
Yeah, actually, they're burning the Al-Quran.
They're burning the Quran?
Yes. And they say, this is
a monk here doing that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. You listen the voice? What he says, killing animal law book is this and burning.
The police can clearly be seen standing around watching, raising the question of whether the Sri Lankan government is working with the BBS.
Why are these Buddhist monks doing this?
Actually, we have a history in Sri Lanka. The Muslims has a history. They want to destroy all the history.
The BBS and other extremist groups have been decrying issues familiar to Islamophobic groups around the world.
Now, this is the main issue that extremist groups have used to whip up anti-Muslim tension, the halal certification. Now, there is a lot of these certifications on a lot of foods here in Sri Lanka. I've walked around the supermarket on ice cream, on milk, on biscuits like these, and you can see the tiny little certification there. It used to be much bigger, but because of the uproar, they've made it tiny. You might just be able to make it out.
But halal certification isn't the only gripe they have. Some of their claims are based in fact, some are downright absurd.
At one point recently, a certain Muslim fashion store started distributing sweets like these, and the extremist groups accused them of putting birth control substances inside the sweets, therefore trying to stop Buddhist Sinhalese people giving birth.
ඔය මුස්ලිම් හෝටල් වලට ගිහිල්ලා කාලා බීලා හැම ඇති. දන්නවද ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ අල් කුරානේ තියෙන නීතිය? මොකක්ද නීතිය? ඔවුන්ගේ නීතිය තමයි ඉස්ලාම් නොවන මුස්ලිම් නොවන අන්‍ය ජාතික වන අන්‍ය ආගමික වන ඕනම කෙනෙකුට කෑමක් දෙනවා නම් බීමක් දෙනවා නම් තුන් පාරක් කෙල ගහලා තමයි දෙන්නේ. තුන් පාරක් කෙල ගහලා තමයි දෙන්නේ. හෝටල් වල ඔය බොන තේ එකට කෙල පාරවල් වැදිලා ඇති. මුස්ලිම් හෝටල් වලට ගිහිල්ලා කාපු කෑම වලට ඔබ දන්නේ නැතුව කෙල පාරවල් වැදිලා ඇති. ශරියා නීතිය ඕකයි.
You have very supposedly intelligent and educated people who will subscribe to the BBS propaganda about singular women being given sweets in Muslim shops to make them infertile, or that in 10 years or 15 years' time this will become a Muslim majority country. I mean, this is absurd nonsense. A ridiculous lie repeated often enough becomes a truth.
Accusation against some Muslim-owned businesses have resulted in violence. A crowd gathered outside the clothing store Fashion Bug. A Buddhist monk throws the first stone.
The BBS seeks to define or redefine or secure assent for its definition of Sri Lanka as a singular Buddhist country and state. It is explicitly critical of and rejects the idea of Sri Lanka as a pluralist, multicultural society.
So what would happen to the Muslims in this state? And the Christians?
Well, they'd better shut up and put up, really. That is what it's about. It's about domination.
Many in Sri Lanka can't understand how this group has been able to inspire so many. The Buddhist, Muslim and Christian communities here have long prided themselves on their tolerance of each other. One man who thinks he knows why is Azath Saleh, a well-known Muslim politician who was recently arrested for inciting hatred himself, he says, on trumped-up charges. He is one of the few Muslims who has spoken out publicly against Buddha Balasena. For his trouble, he has received hate mail and derogatory images have been posted on the net about him.
If you look at this picture, this is as offensive to Muslims as you can possibly get.
Impossible, exactly.
And so what's been done about it?
This is the worst insult they can do to a Muslim.
Yeah.
Right? Can a country afford to do this? So why couldn't the defense ministry go and take action against the website?
He shows me more evidence of Muslim shrines and mosques which have been attacked, he says, with government complicity.
This is the attack that took place in Dambulla. Okay. See, police is watching, Buddhist monk attacking. This is what they did in Anuradhapura. See, police watching, they destroyed the entire shrine. 1 year ago, the government supported a extremist Buddhist organization who came in the name of Buddha Balasena.
So you think the government has supported them?
Definitely. We have accused the government right throughout for supporting this organization, helping them in every way, because the statements made by them, by now, all those people should be arrested, not me.
The accusation against Mr. Saleh was that he told a journalist in India that Muslims might take up arms against Buddhist extremists. He denies the charges, which have since been dropped.
You're being held supposedly for 3 months under terrorist charges. Humiliate the government and create religious disharmony.
Yeah.
You show me those pictures.
Who is creating disharmony?
As for the Buddha Balasena, no, I don't think they've even been visited by the local constabulary. Not once. And there's plenty of evidence of hate speech.
So it's clear for you that the BBS has some tacit support from sections of the government?
I wouldn't call it tacit, I'd call it explicit support from sections of the government.
And sections for the government or the government?
I think in general from the government, but in particular from particular individuals.
So the BBS has this white, spanking new high-rise. There are state officers, governmental officers, which have rented space in this tower that sprang up, the BBS tower, as it were.
I thought it was time to meet the BBS myself.
Hello, is that Mr. Delanta?
Yeah.
Hi there, this is Johnny Miller. I'm a British journalist and I'm in Sri Lanka to make a short film about the tensions that are going on at the moment. And we're looking for an interview with yourself. Would you be available for that?
They agreed, and off we went. Inside the front door are pictures of Sri Lanka's powerful Secretary of Defence, who was the guest of honour at the opening of BBS's new training school. "It is the monks who protect our country, religion and race," the Secretary of Defence said. "No one should doubt these clergy. We're here to give you our encouragement."
This is your first visit to Sri Lanka?
Yeah. Before we had a meeting with Delanta, the PR officer, we were invited to eat. We secretly turned our camera on. At the table, said to be a friend of theirs, was this man. He worked for the government in their human rights department. He told us although he did not work with the BBS, he agreed with what they were doing. I asked Delanta whether the Buddhist society he was trying to create would discriminate against other faiths.
No, you are trying to relate Buddhism with other religions. So don't do that. Buddhism is not a religion.
So you can be a Buddhist and a Muslim at the same time?
Yes. Anybody in this world can be a Buddhist.
I then asked him exactly what Buddha Balasena were trying to do.
Now, if you really look at Sri Lankan society, there are a lot of, malpractices. Now, for example, a lot of killings happening every day. And when you look at people driving vehicles, they don't have any control. And every day you get people die because of road accidents. And a lot of child abusers. And a lot of corruption.
So in a Buddhist society, there wouldn't be any murders or child killing or...
Virtually no. So we are talking about that society.
So if you create a Buddhist society,
Yeah.
you'll get rid of murder,
Yes.
crashes, child abuse,
Yeah.
everything will be...
Yeah. That is the ideal society we are thinking of.
Okay, that sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
I'd like to live in that society.
Please come and help us to build this society.
A society with no murder.
Yes. So
no car crashes, no child abuse. So how do we do that?
The problem here is...
I was expecting Delanta to be railing against Muslims and Christians, but half an hour into the interview, he hadn't mentioned them once.
Okay, so what practically will change in this society then?
A lot of things will be changed.
Like what?
So, thinking. How people think about issues. Now, you understand what is critical thinking?
Yeah.
Right? In the society, in the education, in health, in public life,
Okay, so
they need to have critical thinking.
Okay.
We don't have critical thinking in the society.
So your organization is set up to make people think more critically.
Yes, definitely.
Well, I wasn't getting very far with Delanta, but I'd been promised a meeting with the head monk tomorrow. At a newspaper office nearby, I met a well-known editor. Hardly a day was going by that the BBS weren't making the front page.
And has your paper criticized the government for not doing enough, for having links indeed with the BBS?
But the only link that the government has in any kind of way is the fact that the Secretary of Defense opened a no, it depends on how much weight you're going to give to that, right? You're invited to go somewhere, open a building, he does that.
Despite the criticism of the government, many, like Melinda, believe the reason they have not stood up to the BBS is for fear of making them stronger. Ignoring them may be the best policy.
Is it difficult for you to criticize the government too much because you vote for or you run a pro-government newspaper?
What is pro-government for this newspaper? This is not owned by the government.
It's pro-government.
Who says that?
Some people told me.
Yeah. You see, you have a lot of some people in your resume which makes me very suspicious. I hope you record all this and put it down, right? These some people are not neutrals. Okay, you got to keep that in mind, right? I write a government paper, you read the editorial, I have taken issue with the president and his brother in this pro-government. Read it to you if you like so that you can place me in a political